I want to tell my story about how I went from zero to $10 million. And this isn't a case of $0 to $10 million overnight. Okay. I definitely didn't make it overnight. I made it over a span of 4 years. I'd say about 4 years, from when I was 27 till 31. I made that money, about 2.5 million a year. And I want to sort of trace back here because people on YouTube don't know my story about how it all started. The reason why I'm wearing sunglasses is because I've got this massive light, which is like for content, and it's like blinding. So if I didn't wear these, I'd have to be, it's literally destroying my eyes. I've got to put these back on. How it kind of started was when I went to uni, right? So I went to Imperial College in London, which is a great uni to go to be fair. So I was pretty grateful for that. That was a nice experience. Although it was a waste of money, uni teaches you nothing, to be honest. Teaches you absolutely nothing. It's just a brand. It's a piece of paper that you get, which opens up doors for you later on in life, which means that you can get a job, right? So if you want to be an entrepreneur, don't go to uni. There's just literally no point going to uni. If you come from a poor family and your parents can't pay for uni, just don't even go to uni. These days it's like £50,000, $50,000 to go to university or to go to college. What a massive waste of money. How the hell are you going to pay that back? The world is so competitive. It doesn't make sense to go to university. It's a bullshit waste of money. Especially if you're doing some course like, me and my friends used to laugh, like pavement technology, like literally media studies. No, you don't do media studies at uni. You do that on TikTok or on bloody Instagram. You're better off doing media on Instagram than doing media studies at uni, or especially if you go to some crap uni. No offense or anything, but guys, there's a top percentile of unis and those guys get the best jobs, and the rest of them are all in the UK, we've got such random universities. University of East Anglia, University of Hertfordshire. In America, you've got all sorts of random ass universities, colleges. University of West Pennsylvania. What the hell is this, bro? What am I going to get from this crap? So, unless you're actually studying a proper profession, like medicine, engineering, mathematics even. These are proper subjects that you study. You go to uni. You need to go to uni to be a doctor. You need to go to uni to be an engineer. I mean, not always, but it's certainly advisable. But for the other more social sciences / humanities, you don't need to go to uni. I hope the boys and girls listening to this that are 16, 17 years old that have to make a decision about whether they're going to go to uni or not. I really hope you're listening to this, because I don't want you wasting $50,000, £50,000 in 3 years of your life drinking alcohol every night, trying to look cool with everyone else. Because that's literally what it is. You're literally out drinking and getting pissed. Hey, with the lads, yeah, with the lads, with the lads. Yeah, who's a big piss up, big piss up. Who cares about the big piss up with the lads? Bunch of idiots, all of them anyway. Who cares about the piss up? It's about being a G. It's about making some money. It's about having a good body. And then, there was a guy, actually, I'll tell you, this is an interesting story. Really quickly, when I was at ICAP, there was a guy who started making teas and coffees at this desk at 16 years old at ICAP, okay? It was the Euroswap desk at ICAP. And by the time he was my age, when I'd got into ICAP at 23 years old, he'd been there 5-6 years, this guy was making more than £100,000 a month, right? He was making $1 million plus a year. And I just started, and I was on £25,000. So what's the point in me going to uni at that point? Back to the story at hand, without getting too sidetracked. I went to uni, and then I was unemployed for a year because I was trying to start a bunch of businesses. So I actually had the right idea. I was trying to start businesses. I tried to start a milkshake shop. I tried to sell bikes that glow in the dark. It was called a high glow bike, so I imported it from China. That failed because the delivery costs were too expensive, and I didn't get the mathematics right, so that failed. I tried to start a P2P roulette game where you would actually be able to beat the house and overtake and take the roulette, and you would own the roulette table, so that you would actually own that table. You'd have to put your own capital behind it. So I tried to start a bunch of different random businesses. I was always I also tried to start a dating site called Wagger, where like it was all about like the logo was like this dog's tail, and then if you liked some girl, you would like click it, and it would like send her a dog tail image, or like it would send her like a tail flipping, and it was like I tried to start all these random businesses because I was very entrepreneurial from a young age, and I knew I didn't want to work for anyone. I knew I wanted to work for myself. I knew I wanted to be rich, and I knew I wouldn't get rich working for anyone else. So I tried to start those businesses, and they failed. Okay, they failed. I failed 4 businesses within that year, and then the job that I actually got was I went to a bankers association dinner, and there was this lady who paid $35,000 for a dollar bill with a special signature on it. I can't remember who'd signed it off, like the former Bank of England or something, and she ended up paying a hell of a lot of money for this. And as she was walking down the stairs to leave the venue, I turned around to her. I recognized that she was the one that won it, and I said, and she was like dressed in fur with diamonds all over her, like diamonds all over her ears, diamonds around her neck. And I said, hey, do you want to sell that? And she goes, no, it's very hard to buy my husband anything. He already has everything he's ever wanted. And I was like, oh. I was like, what does your husband do? And she's like, oh, he owns an oil company. I was like, oh, interesting. And then I started pitching myself. I was like, look, I've just left university. I'm a smart guy. I'd love to work in the oil industry. I kind of made that up there and then. I was like, I'd love to work in the oil industry. I'd love to get some advice from your husband if that's okay. It'd only take 10 minutes of his time. And so she looked at me and she wrote down her name on a business card and she wrote down her number and she gave it to me and she said, call me tomorrow at 12 o'clock. So I called her at 12 o'clock the next day. And her secretary answered. It was like, hello? I was like, hi, can I speak to Daniela Basatli, please? And he was like, 1 second. And then she picked up the phone and she was like, listen, it was nice to meet you. Send your CV and a cover letter to this address. So I did. I sent my CV and cover letter to that address. And then a week later, I got a phone call. It was funny, actually. I got a phone call like 9:30 in the morning. I was asleep because I was stoned from the night before after smoking weed with my friends and playing Risk board game in my garage where I'd actually hotboxed the hell out of it. The whole house stank of weed because I was smoking weed in the garage with my friends at 21 years old, unemployed, trying to find a job. And the voicemail said, hi, Ralph. Please be at these offices at this time on Thursday at 10 a.m. Thank you very much. And they put the phone down. So I went there and I met the big boss himself. It was a big gold office. I walked into this grand office in Knightsbridge in London, opposite Harrods. Best area you could be in, the most expensive area in the world, most expensive area in London. I walked into this grand old office. I was like, wow, bloody gold all over the place. Then the secretary told me, yeah, please have a seat in that room. So I ended up having a seat in the big boss's office and he wasn't even there yet. Waited about 15, 20 minutes and then some old guy walks in with a hat and an old school jacket and a bit of a walking stick with a nice gold lion at the top of it. He sat down, he acknowledged me very briefly and he asked me 4 questions. And the 4 questions were, do you have any brothers and sisters? If so, what do they do? The second question is, what does your dad do? Random. The third question was, what have you done in your life up until today? And the fourth question was, what do you want to do with your life from today onwards? He asked me 4 questions. The interview lasted 15, 20 minutes. I answered all the questions as best as I could, as truthfully as I could. He looked at me up and down and he said, you can start on January the 15th. And that was that. So I'd started my career in the physical oil trading business. Now, I had no money after university because I tried to start a bunch of different businesses. I had no money. I was literally broke. I don't know how I survived that year of unemployment and trying to start businesses without a pot to piss in, literally, no money. I can't remember. What did I even have? I remember I had a few $1,000s saved up from a UBS internship that I did. I did a summer internship at UBS Investment Bank in my final year of uni, right? So there you go. There was one thing uni did for me. So I did the internship at UBS. I earned whatever it was, £5,000 or £6,000 over the 6-week period. They paid pretty damn well. And I saved that money. And after uni, I ended up like burning through that money and surviving for a year off like £5,000 over a year period, right? Which is what, under £500 a month I spent. I tried to spend as least as possible. Like £5 in filling up petrol for £5 in my car. So anyway, so I got that job, and the job paid terrible. Did that job for 6 months, didn't like it, didn't like the people, because, I wanted to be rich, and I was like, I'm going to have to sit in this job, and I'm going to be poor for a long time until I make some proper money, and I don't respect any of these people, and fuck them, I want to be rich, so why am I doing this job? But I did it for 6 months, and then one of my old applications had come through, a company called ICAP in the city. They called on me for an interview. I did a couple of interviews, and I ended up doing a graduate scheme at ICAP on the crude oil desk. Okay, so I worked in the shipping department on the crude oil desk. Okay, so learning how to move crude oil around the world. The salary was crap. It was like £25,000 a year. Okay, that was when I was like 24 years old. So earned very crappy money there. I did the graduate scheme for about a year and 2 months. I hated it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the people. Everyone was just drinking too much alcohol. A bunch of racist Essex boys. Just like, typical, like, yeah, mate, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, mate, a few pints and all that. Like, very typical sort of Essex brokers at the company. Didn't enjoy it. Never really felt like I was in the right place. Never really felt like I was going to make big money until I became an old fart like the rest of them. And then what really pissed me off is that I was going to the gym at lunchtime, because I was always into the gym. I've always been fit. I've always been in shape. And it's always meant a lot to me to be in good shape. And my boss said to me at the time, he was like, you can't go to the gym at lunch anymore. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, you can't go to the gym at lunch anymore. You have to be at your desk. You got to go grab a sandwich, grab your lunch, and come back at the desk, because this is a fast-paced business, and we need you here in case you got to pick up phone calls. Oh, right, fine then. So I wasn't allowed to go to the gym anymore. Because I was a slave. That's why. Treated like a slave in the city of London. Now, 6-7 months into that job, I had another idea to start another business, because I've always been about ideas, and I've always been about trying to start businesses. So I came up with an idea for an app called Brisk. Okay, and it was about what you could take a brisk walk to in your local area. At the time, Instagram and Twitter were relatively new. So I found someone at my old school, a school alumni who was interested in the same concept. I said to him, look, I want to start this app using information on social media about what I could walk to in my local vicinity, right? If there was like a cool market around the corner, if there was a pop-up store, if there was a guy dancing around, if there was a guy playing a saxophone and lots of people were leaving reviews, and it was a 3-minute walk away from me, I could scroll the news feed, and then I could be like, oh, that looks good, let me walk there. So we found an investor. And the day that we found an investor who said he was going to put in £150,000, I quit my job. Okay, so a year and 2 months into ICAP, I was now about 25 years old. Okay, still broke, still got no money, still earning pennies from work. Lived at my parents' house. I loved my parents. I got on with them very well, but my dad was a bit of a strict guy. My mum was an amazing person. Dad was always on my case from day one, which was a blessing and a curse at the same time. More of a blessing now that I think about it. And I left ICAP and I joined forces with my partner at the time, and we built the app. We went to Ukraine, we found some developers. Our investor gave us, it was £35,000 to build the app, which looking back on it now was way too much money to spend. I mean, that was naive as hell. I was so naive at the time, like 25 years old, trying to start this app, spending, £35,000. It was the wrong way to do it. We could have definitely done it much cheaper. So we built the app, and £35,000 later, and about 10 months into the project, the investor turned around and said, guys, I can't give you any more money. He was giving me about £500 a month just to live, because again, I couldn't afford to survive. So he gave me £500 to live. And then one day he said to me, look, I can't give you the £500 anymore. I can't put any more money into the business. I've got a problem. I've gone bankrupt. So that left us with an office, a built app, and no money. And I was like, okay, well, I'd like to go and try and raise some more money for this and get some investment, but I can't afford to live and eat and get the bus and get the train to work. So I can't do this. I have to leave this company and go get a job again. Now, can you imagine how disappointed I was? I was bloody heartbroken. I'm 25 years old. I'm still broke, right? Been broke my whole damn life. And I had to go get a job. And my mum was like, yo, you need to apply for work. You need to apply for jobs. You need to apply. You went to a good uni. You're a smart kid. Come on. You've had good jobs in the past. Apply. You seem to like technology. You seem to want to be in tech. Tech seems to be your thing. You didn't like banking. You didn't like finance. You didn't like oil trading. Why don't you try and apply for a tech company? So I said, all right, fine. I've got to apply for a tech company. Now, yes, I was broke, but I've always tried to... So my dad stopped giving me money when I was about 15 years old, right? So when I was 15, I was literally not getting a penny anymore. And my first ever job was lifting furniture in North London, in Finchley Central, okay? I grew up in a lovely area called Highgate in North London, between Highgate and Muswell Hill. I grew up in a comfortable family. They were certainly not rich at all. They were also not completely broke, okay? My parents were not broke, they were not rich, they were comfortable, they were okay, they were middle class in a nice area in North London. Dad worked hard, he'd come from absolutely nothing. And my first job was lifting furniture at 15 years old, and that probably explains why I've got big muscles now, because I was lifting heavy ass sofas and cupboards upstairs in Tottenham with the delivery guy at the time, like serious, like heavy shit. And then my second job, funny enough, was at the stationery store called Ryman's the Stationaire, where I was just a shop assistant, right, selling stationery. And this was during my college years. So between 16 and 17 years old, so 15 I was a furniture delivery, 16, 17 years old, I was working at a stationery store. And I've got a funny one here, that once my ex-girlfriend, so my girlfriend at the time, I'd broken up with her, and then her and her friend had walked into the store. And I'd spotted them while I was at the till. And I shat myself. I was like, uh-oh, I don't want them to see me work here. So I squirmed to the back of the shop, sort of meandered my way to the back, ran to the back, didn't want to get exposed, didn't want her knowing that I worked there. I don't know why I was embarrassed and shy about her finding out that I worked there. Who cares when you think about it now, when I think about it now anyway. And it's funny because the next day I found out that, I'm on Monday, because I'd work on the weekends at the stationery store. On the Monday, I found out that she saw me run to the back. So that was pretty embarrassing. That was my second job anyway. So I just traced back quickly there to the ages of 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. And then at 18, I went to uni, and then I had the internship. And then now, fast forward back to 25 years of age. Broke as hell, right? Never really had money. And I had to apply for jobs. So one of my friends at the time, Bilal, I still remember, I'm still great friends with him to this day. He worked for Google, and he got a job at Google straight after uni because he was a smart marketing boy who started websites when he was young. He had an Arsenal review blog, right? He had an Arsenal Football Club review blog. I can't remember what it was called. Can't remember what it was called anyway, but he started that blog, and he was also selling New Era hats through one of his websites. And Google had got in touch with him and asked him if he wanted to sort of join their graduate scheme and get a job there, and he did. So he joined them. So I called him. I was like, bro, I need a job, bro. I'm broke, mate. I'm 25 years old. I've just left my failed tech company. I've failed about 5 or 6 companies in my life. I've had a bunch of different jobs. I'm interested in tech. I'm relatively good at sales. I can talk. So is there anything you could do for me? So he took my CV and he found a job through one of his colleagues, and he said, look, check it out online. Maybe you want to apply for this job. Maybe you want to apply to Google. And he's like, I showed the managers and they'd be interested to potentially give it a shot or to pass it to HR. So my good friend Bilal passed it to HR, and HR agreed to do interviews. So the team looked at my CV and agreed to interview me. So that was the advantage of going to uni at that time, right? Because if I hadn't gone to that uni, I wouldn't have been able to do all the things I'd done. So now, I know I said going to uni is a waste of time, but it's not a waste of time if you're trying to get a job, because most jobs actually want you to go to uni, especially if it's a professional level job, like I said, medicine and engineering, etc., etc. And accounting, stuff like accounting requires mathematics and accounting degrees. And then you go do an ACA and ACCA, and you go do all these other qualifications to get there, right? So if you want to be qualified, you got to go to uni. So I did 7 interviews for Google. 7 interviews. And during that time, my mum was like, are you applying for jobs? Are you applying for jobs? You're broke. You're sitting around the house. You need to apply for work. You need to apply for work. And I was like, yeah, I am. I wasn't really applying for other jobs. I literally only applied for Google, and I was still trying to start businesses off the back of my ass, just selling absolute garbage bullshit on eBay if I could, just so I wouldn't have to work for someone else and take orders, because I'm very bad at taking orders from people. I've always been, way too prideful to take orders from people. So after 7 interviews, Google offered me the job. And they said to me, you have to move to Dublin. You have to leave London. You have to move to Dublin if you want to work for Google. And I said, well, I didn't say that to them, but I said, I've got no choice. I need to do this. So I accepted the job. I gave my mum and dad a big hug because I love them dearly and they've always cared about me. And I moved to Dublin, Ireland. And this was about, again, about 25 years old, right? So, I tried to start that business, that app, and then that had failed. And then between like 25 and 26 years old, I got the job at Google. Now, I've now started my job at Google. I'm still broke. I'm still earning tiny amounts of money from my job because I had never saved anything, because I used up all my savings when I was unemployed. And while I was at Google, because I was always entrepreneurial, I met one of the guys on my desk. His name's Chris. And, I still talk to him to this day. He's extremely successful today. Very successful. He's done very well for himself. Multi-millionaire, like I am. He stayed in the industry, actually, that I'm about to tell you about. We were managing a desk, right, in Google called New Business Sales, which was all about bringing new advertisers on board to Google. So someone that hasn't ever advertised with Google, if you were new to the scene and you'd never had a Google AdWords account, then we would sell you that service and we would onboard you through our consultants, right? So it was a sales job, put it that way. And we found ourselves very interested in a lot of casino clients. We saw that a lot of clients were, starting casino businesses, were starting casino affiliate companies. We were looking at the accounts. We were like, oh, you guys are spending a lot of money on casino keywords. You seem to be doing very well. And I thought to myself, how do I get involved in this? So looking at a lot of these clients, can I do the same thing? And I remember there was one guy, and I don't want to give his exact name. I'll give his first name. His name was Josh. I remember exactly his name, Josh D. Don't want to give his full name out. But every time I spoke to him, this guy was in a different country. And I was like, bro, where are you now? And he was a casino affiliate, right? So he would run traffic to online casinos through his Google AdWords accounts. And I was like, bro, where are you now? And he'd be like, oh, I'm in Argentina, just like sipping on some Malbec, eating some steak. A week later, I'd speak to him again. And he was like, oh, I'm just in France now, sipping on some red wine with my new French girlfriend. I was like, bro, you're everywhere. I was like, how come you get to travel the world? I want to do that. Like, why can't I do that? So anyway, that was what spurred me on to want to start a business and to have my freedom and to be able to travel anywhere, anytime. So then my goal became, I want to start a remote automated business so I could be free to do whatever the hell I wanted to do. And so while I was, at Google, I really brainstormed as much as I could about what I wanted to start. And I spoke to my partner. I said, listen, why don't we go and we build something like our clients have built? Why don't we go and build a casino affiliate business? Why don't we quit together and start building this business? So why don't we start building AdWords accounts? We have to quit our job, right? So that we're not doing anything illegal. So why don't we quit our job? And then why don't we wait a certain period of time? Why don't we do some research and then create a bunch of AdWords accounts and start running ads towards casino clients that we know of, and we could be the affiliate. We could build a bunch of websites. So we quit our job on the same day. I was put on gardening leave, and I started learning how to edit code. I started learning how to edit HTML and JavaScript code. I edited and built our first couple of websites with Chris, and we started running Google AdWords to those websites, and we started getting our first pieces of traffic, and we started managing our campaigns on Google AdWords and checking them every single day and trying new keywords for casino. And eventually we started cracking it and we started growing, and we found an investor who'd give us money to pump money into the ads because we couldn't afford to put that much money in. I only had a few $1,000s in savings. The investor gave us about $20,000. And so we pumped that into ads and we started getting a return every month. And so the business started growing. So that was about 26 years old. Now, a year had passed from 26 to 27, and Chris and I were running that business, and we'd made our first million, right? I went from 0 to $1 million in 1 year at that point, right? Literally 1 year. But everything I'd done before had led me to this particular point. So at 27, Chris and I had decided to split off as business partners, unfortunately. He wanted to go and try something else. He wanted to go and build in the casino business. I wanted to go and build in the casino business with my brothers because I wanted to get them out of their 9-to-5 jobs. I wanted my brothers to be free. I didn't want them working like dogs for anyone else. So I started the same business with my brothers and ran it successfully for about 3 to 4 years, running Google AdWords accounts to my casino clients across the world. And we ran successful campaigns, and we tried and tested with lots of different keywords and ad accounts and geos and different casinos and exclusive bonuses. And I built great relationships with these casinos. They'd give me exclusive bonuses. And I ran that for 3-4 years, and I absolutely printed millions of dollars from the age of 27 up to 31. And then the business kind of fell to pieces, and I stopped making recurring revenue, and I lost a bunch of accounts, and I became unprofitable, and it became too competitive, and other people had come in and swept me out of it. So I kind of went from making $100,000 to $200,000 a month to like $10,000 a month, and eventually that dwindled down to a few $1,000s a month. So that really is my story about how I went from 0 to around $10 million. And now that was about 5 years ago now that I'd stopped doing that business. And 5 years ago, what I'd done is I had bought my parents a house. I had fixed up their house. I'd sold it. I bought them a house. I wanted to retire them. I made sure my brothers took their fair share of money and built beautiful homes and bought homes and built extensions. And I took that money and we decided to start investing our money in the stock market. So my brothers and I started learning about how to invest in the S&P 500, what stocks we wanted to buy. We tried a bunch of other companies in marketing, which had failed at the time. I tried to start a few different marketing businesses, and I just wasn't really enjoying them. It was just stuff that I wasn't really too interested in. I was just trying to make money and it didn't really work. So for 5 years, I've basically been an investor, an avid investor. I absolutely love investing in the stock market and in cryptocurrency and in businesses, mainly in the stock market, in technology stocks. And now I am 36 years old, and then he said 35 now. I'm 36 years old, and I found my passion, and my passion is to build masculine medicine to help men around the world become better, bigger, stronger, and wealthier, to teach them about investing, to teach them about crypto, teach them about how to get a better body, teach them about diet and nutrition, teach them about how to get beautiful women in their life, because I have an abundance of all of these amazing things. And so it's now my turn to pass this on, because God has chosen me to do this. And God has not chosen me to run a casino business anymore, or to go run an investment fund, which I'd love to do. And I'd love to run a massive cryptocurrency hedge fund with these guys I've just met who've built a beautiful piece of technology. But you know what? It's not meant to be. What's meant to be is that I build masculine medicine and I help men become better men. That's what's meant to be. And that's what I need to now do with my life. So that's why I'm choosing what to do. I've become basically a full-time content creator. I'm going to make as much content as I can. I'm going to teach you guys how to cook and eat the best possible food for your nutrition. I'm going to teach you guys how to get the best possible body, the six-pack, the chest, the arms. I'm going to teach you guys how to be charismatic, confident, how to speak to beautiful women, how to get beautiful women, how to travel around the world, how to get everything you want, and how to have an abundant, beautiful life. And on top of that, how to be spiritual, how to be calm, how to live a beautiful life with a beautiful family, and how to find good friends, and generally as much beautiful, deep, wholesome life advice as I can. And I want to build a solid community of men, because that's my calling and that's what I'm meant to do. And so that's my story of 0 to $10 million. And that now is my path and what I want to do now moving forward. Whew. I have to take a breather. I'm excited about what's coming up ahead. I know the task is going to be huge, but I look forward to it, and I'm going to need your help, people, to build the monster that I'm about to build so I can change the world in my own little way. I can I can help you guys, and I'm going to talk more about different businesses that we could start, that you could start, give you more business ideas, give you different crypto tokens that I'm going to be aping into, giving you investment ideas, giving you ideas of different businesses you should start, what paths you should take that are unique to you, okay? Because it's extremely unique to you. What I'm doing right now is extremely unique to my skill set. So you need to find something that's extremely unique to your skill set, and I'm going to help you do that, which is going to be more sustainable so you can run that business every single day for the rest of your lives. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it, and we can get into more details in the next few videos about the different businesses you guys could start. I certainly enjoyed filming this. Lots of love, brothers. Peace out. See you in the next one.